welcome back. Our next session is Cultural Tourism and the Power of Arts Investment. Investing in a city's cultural capital doesn't just benefit artists. It fuels economic growth, it attracts visitors, and elevates a city's global profile. In fact, studies show again and again that cultural tourists stay longer and spend more money in the cities that they visit than the traditional leisure tourist. Today, we will be hearing from leaders in tourism, marketing, and international markets about how the arts drive cultural tourism and create real impact for communities. And I'm delighted to introduce our moderator for this important conversation, Edna J. Gutierrez, Senior Manager of Public Relations at the San Diego Tourism Authority. With more than a decade of experience in public relations and communications, Edna has worked across the entertainment, hospitality, and tourism industries to craft compelling narratives that elevate destinations both nationally and internationally. At the San Diego Tourism Authority, she oversees PR programs across the US, Mexico, Latin America, the UK, and Germany, and also serves on their Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Board. She is bilingual, deeply engaged in binational relations, and continues to champion representation and access in all of her work. Please join me in welcoming Edna Gutierrez, who will introduce today's distinguished panelists. Hello, Edna, welcome.
Hello, thank you. Gracias, Susana. What an honor to be here. And I want to thank everyone for joining us for this important conversation on cultural tourism and the power of arts investment. When travelers choose where to go, the arts often tip the scale. Think of Paris, right? Yes, it's a city of love. We all dream to visit. But what draws millions and millions every year are the museums, the architecture, the performances, and the sense of cultural immersion. Arts and culture are not an add-on. They are often the very reason people travel. So what does that mean for us in San Diego and California? Our cultural capital might look a little different, but it's just as compelling. From bubble parks, world-class museums, to the vibrant arts programming at the San Diego International Airport, from the traditions of our border region to the contemporary voices shaping our neighborhoods and our cities. Culture is one of our strongest storytelling tools. And the impact goes beyond visitor spending, though obviously that's undeniable and very important. Investing in the arts creates jobs, sparks innovation, builds civic pride, and ensures authentic, inclusive stories are shared with the world. Done right, cultural tourism is both economically powerful and socially transformative. So why tourism? Not only because that's my life and that's what's in my heart, but tourism itself is a vital economic engine. In San Diego, more than 32 million visitors contributed nearly 14.6 billion in direct spending in just fiscal year 2024, driving a total regional impact of about 22 billion. And 1 in 8 local jobs are tied back to tourism. And at the state level, California reached a record high of 157.3 billion in visitor spending in 2024, sustaining 1.2 million jobs and generating over 12.6 billion in tax revenues. So that's why today's conversation matters. And I'm honored to be joined by 3 incredible women and leaders who bring unique perspectives to this conversation. And I'm going to start with my colleague and friend, Kayla Yap. She is the Director of Brand Management at the San Diego Tourism Authority. She's bringing her branding perspective with us, and she can share how arts and culture shape San Diego's image and as a destination. Next, Angie Pappas, she's a Public Relations Director at Visit California, offering the communications and the global PR perspective, and she can share how California tells its arts and story to the world. And last but not least, of course, Tiffany Beres, Manager of Arts at the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority, sharing the immersive experience perspective and how travelers engage directly with the arts and artists when they visit a destination. So I know we're in visual, but I'm just going to do a round of applause for all of them. Thank them for being here. Imagine an ovation, people standing for them. But I'm going to kick off with one question for each of you, and I'm just going to ask you to answer just the order I introduce you. To start, could each of you briefly just introduce yourself, share a little bit about the roles, the work that you do, and how the arts play a role in the work that you do every day? Kayla?
Yeah, thank you, Edna. Thank you so much for having us this morning. My name is Kayla Yap. I'm the Director of Brand Management at the San Diego Tourism Authority. In my role, I oversee brand marketing, our advertising campaigns, creative storytelling, and promotion. So I'm really excited to be a part of this discussion today because arts and culture is such a core part of San Diego's DNA. It's in everything from our brand positioning to our storytelling efforts. And so I'm really excited to be here and join this great group of individuals.
Hi there, Angie Pappas of Visit California. So I oversee our global media relations team and the storytelling that we're doing every day with journalists and influencers around the world around about all of the experiences that California has to offer. And I think definitely the arts plays a huge role in that. Not only is it adding to the vibrancy of the communities that we're really trying to sell to travelers when they think about that California dream and anything being possible in California, that the arts shine through, and that's the biggest scales of music and artistry and Hollywood and all of that down to those local experiences and galleries and shows that they can come and experience when they're here. So we're really trying to tell that story all around the world.
Tiffany?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. My name is Tiffany Beres, and I have the incredible job of bringing art to a place that people might not expect it, the airport. I oversee our arts program here at SAN, which enriches the travel experience and airport environment through innovative, memorable arts programming, including our permanent public art, temporary exhibitions, musical performances, and even artist residencies. We want people who pass through our terminals, whether they're first-time visitors or returning locals, to get a sense of what San Diego is about, its creativity and rich art offerings. That's why we say our airport serves as a gateway to the region, not just physically, but culturally too.
Thank you all for sharing and for being here today. So I'm gonna take it back to Kayla. And so let's talk about San Diego. Let's talk about branding. So from a brand perspective, why is it important to make San Diego's art and cultural story a part of destination marketing?
I think from a branding standpoint, arts and culture gives any destination depth and character and emotional resonance. And so while San Diego might be known for our beaches and our beautiful weather that we've been experiencing, it's the arts and the culture, it's the gallery, it's the galleries, the music, the local festivals, the culinary scene that really tells a richer, deeper story for who we are as a destination. So I think by elevating that narrative, that's how we differentiate San Diego. We are a beautiful beach destination, but we are also a place of creativity, innovation, community. It broadens that appeal to travelers that are seeking a different, meaningful connection when they experience a destination.
So what does it mean to invest in advertising, like putting dollars behind promoting and positioning the arts and culture as a core to a destination's appeal, in this case, San Diego?
I think investing in advertising and promotions, it ensures that arts and culture, it's not just a nice to have, but it's a defining feature of San Diego's identity and who we are. I think strategically it means, telling those authentic local stories, seeing what's happening in our neighborhoods, and being able to tell those stories to really a global audience is a huge appeal. And honestly, it's just an invitation for those to come experience the variety of product offerings that we have in the destination. So I feel so fortunate that we have these amazing product offerings here in San Diego and we can promote them. But also the momentum that's happening in the San Diego arts and culture community is amazing. The investments from a performing arts level, you've got iconic venues like the Rady Shell at Jacobs Park that's right alongside the San Diego Bay and the downtown skyline. Those investments in our arts community are going to keep San Diego competitive with a lot of our other tourism destinations like in New York and LA. And we know arts and culture is such a great opportunity for us to continue to grow and just lean into that momentum and that buzz that's happening right now in San Diego.
Yeah, no, you're right. And So now I'm gonna jump out to Angie just to zoom out a little bit, right? So we're talking about destination, or the amazing things to do, and why it's important to elevate it and promote it to the world and domestically as well. Angie, so you have the statewide and global lens. California is home to so many incredible cities, so each with its own creative identity. How do the arts differentiate these destinations? And how do they set California apart from other state and even global competitors?
Yeah, I mean, I think that really it just comes down to that idea of authenticity, not to be cliche about it, but I think that that's really what people are looking for. And I mean, to your point earlier, Edna, I mean, it's really, I think those experiences are not just a bonus for tourists who are coming to California. They're the core reason why people want to visit. We really all of our research boils down to a few different motivators that really get people to book a trip and get on a plane and come here. And one of those core motivators is immersion. People want to come, they want to immerse in local culture, they want to feel like they're part of the neighborhood, they want to feel like they can live like a Californian or like a San Diegan. You guys are maybe the most spoiled in the state with everything that you have there. But really, that's what they are coming for, to get that taste. And so coming and seeing the ways that cities really commit and invest in public art. All of that really adds to the vibrancy of the community that these visitors want to immerse in. And then that translates to actual dollars. They're spending money in the local economies. They're buying artisan-made products to take home. They're buying local crafts. They're buying tickets to performances or exhibits. And then they're also, shopping the stores around those venues, going to restaurants around those venues, staying in hotels. So all of that drives that larger economy, but it's really all in an effort to have that authentic California experience, and you can't have that without the arts.
Yeah, completely agree. Also, that San Diego, we're spoiled. Um,
Very much.
So we just had we heard about the brand perspective, right? So just to clarify, this is brand perspective is the advertising that you see online in social media, on TV and streaming devices, right? So, and there's the PR communications, which is what I do. So this is why I wanted to have you here. So since you work closely with media and storytellers, content creators, domestically and worldwide, what trends are you seeing in terms of their interest in arts and culture? And are they seeking deeper stories, for example, from artists and creators themselves?
I mean, very much. I think that media are always hungry for what's new, and that in a lot of destinations and cities, a lot of the amazing stories that we get to talk about are arts driven because artists are always creating. They're always creating something new and exciting for a city to talk about and really tout. So whether that's new exhibits or performances or spaces, media, that's what journalists are also like. Those are the stories that they want to tell. They want to talk about what's new and what have people never heard about, or what are the underground things that nobody knows about except for the locals. So we're constantly working with our destination partners around the state to know what's coming on the pipeline, to understand what those trends are. And it could be everything from, new exhibits, new immersive. There's lots of new immersive kinds of experiences that are happening, popping up in cities all over the place. And some of those are, they're for the Instagram moment also. It's kind of the full spectrum of arts from very serious to silly. So I think journalists just want to know really what's new. And yeah, that's one example.
And how do you share these stories? Like, how do you work with content creators and the media to share all the stories that are happening throughout the state?
Yeah, I mean, we're constantly pitching. We have in Visit California, we have a team of of PR professionals all over the world. So we're in 13 international markets, and domestically, we have a kind of a network of teammates who are building relationships with those media, where we host a lot of media. We actually bring them to California, about 500 media and influencers in any year. And so then we work with the destinations to build those itineraries. Anytime we have somebody coming in state, we're working with the local partner. So they're telling us, I mean, we're getting fed that information. So whether that's working with your team in San Diego, telling us about all the new things, we're putting those in publications on our website. We're sending out communications, we're sending out pitches, larger pitches to media all over the world. But really hosting them and giving them that first-hand experience is amazing. So that's also an amazing opportunity for the destination to get a journalist into a performance or into an exhibit, or on a mural tour, or whatever that is, to go and see things for themselves, and then it translates to the coverage, and then they're going to tell their readers, and then more people are going to come seek out those experiences. So we're working with influencers also, which that has a little bit more of a real-time energy, where they're posting content live from the destination. So we cover all of our bases. It's a massive program, but telling those stories, it's definitely woven into any time we're hosting anybody in the state.
And your experience while telling these stories, how have they helped shape California's global image and appeal to cultural travelers? Like, do you have an example of any stories or any work you done with content creators that you have seen really create a positive impact and maybe change the mindset of everything that California has to offer culturally?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many examples. I think the times that it gets very fun is when we can work with media or reach audiences that we don't typically target in our normal day-to-day travel, normal day-to-day travel work. Like, we're always talking to Travel and Leisure. We're always talking to even like a parents magazine, those kinds of publications, to reach our core audiences. We know we want to talk to travelers, right? So it is exciting, like when we can work with really niche publications and things like that to tell some new stories. A couple years ago, there was a California festival where symphonies in major cities all over the state all kind of banded together and worked together to hold a week-long California festival, where they all work together to coordinate new performances all at the same time. So that was like an amazing opportunity for the destinations to work together. The destinations for, like, their philharmonics in San Francisco and San Diego and Sacramento. And then we were able to reach out to some really like symphonic music journalists who wouldn't normally be writing like a travel story, but there was this amazing event happening in California. It's like an only in California experience, really exclusive kind of way to storytell. And then so we brought publications from all over the world to come and do a California road trip, like these music journalists. That's not the typical way that they're doing coverage, to go, check out all of these amazing concerts, and then talk about what the travel experience, being in California and going to the Rady Shell, or going to these amazing venues to hear music. So when something like that pops up, that adds to the fun of it, because we get to tap into an audience that we don't normally talk to.
Creativity inspires creativity. Sounds like.
Yes.
So actually I want to take it back to Kayla, just because also I would like for you to share how you share the stories. You mentioned the importance and what San Diego has to offer, but on the branding perspective, how do you share the cultural side of San Diego?
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate. We, being on the ground in San Diego, we've got great relationships with all of the cultural institutions, the business improvement districts. Honestly, when we think about arts and culture in San Diego, that even includes culinary. I think when you think about culinary as an offering, that is a very accessible way to experience a destination's culture. And being in San Diego and our cross-border collaboration with Mexico and our proximity, we've got really great relationships with our community partners. So first and foremost, having those really lays the foundational efforts for our brand efforts, our PR efforts, our digital efforts to ensure that the stories that we're telling are representative of these communities that we are helping amplify their message. And I think really when we dedicate those resources to highlighting it, I mean, kind of to Andrew's point, you're building new audiences, you're driving visitation, and then you're supporting the ecosystem of these local artists, these cultural institutions, these organizations that help fuel San Diego's vibrancy. So at its core, those relationships are so key to the success of our, brand advertising programs and our storytelling efforts. And there's so many great things happening throughout San Diego. So having those relationships, learning about what's new, what's coming up, what type of experiences are happening. I think that that's another way that travelers are starting to explore is, they're still going to traditional museums and concerts and things like that, but now there are so many different innovative things happening in terms of food festivals, art festivals, different ways that you can engage with the arts and culture community in real life. All of that is changing and shaping. And so being on the ground and be able to tell those stories with our partners is so fun because it's always changing. And to your point, it's a creativity. I think once you start to see those cool, innovative things happening, they are popping up in every neighborhood from Barrio Logan to the Convoy District to North Park and South Park. So it's a great story to tell.
And yeah, you're right. And how do you have any story or any example? I know I get to work with you, so I get to see the amazing work that we do. And to be fair, if we have anyone from San Diego, a lot of times you don't get to see that in San Diego because the goal as a promoting destination is to promote outside of the destination. We want to bring people here so they can, leave their dollars and benefit the local economy. So do you have an example of any fun projects that you recently had that involve arts and culture or local artists?
Yeah, I think a fun one as we were kind of chatting about just being engaged is a couple of years ago, we had an arts and culture campaign and it was called Find Art, Share Art. And so we partnered with big media publications to really invite travelers to the destination and find what their version of art that was fulfilling to them. So it could be anything from a street mural in East Village to one of the museums at Balboa Park or, a mural in Chicano Park in Barrio Logan. And so inviting visitors to capture that, it was a user-generated content campaign. So then we had all of these variety of images then hosted on really an arts and culture travel hub. And you got to see in real time how people were exploring San Diego. And that looks different for everyone. I mean, if all four of us were to go out in San Diego and say, go find, the piece of art that makes you fulfilled, we would all go to different places throughout the destination. And so I thought that was a really fun, unique way. And it really uses, the travelers as the storytellers. And there are so many different offerings throughout San Diego. So that was a fun one. And we all know the power of social media. People trust, other travelers' reviews. It feels authentic. It's less about, a specific cultural institution saying, come and visit directly into my business, but allowing folks to just explore the city and the different cultural offerings we have. It was really fun to kind of see all that user-generated content populated in one place, and you see, every inch throughout the city, different perspectives from travelers.
I love that because it was very engaging, like you mentioned, right? Like
Yes.
it's an art thing, and that's the whole point. So we can get travelers to engage and not just to see or experience, and just you really want to get them to be involved and talk again, getting inspired by art. So talking about art that inspires you and that engages you, Tiffany. So the airport is such a unique stage for cultural expression. It's probably the space you were least expected to find it. But it is often the first and the last impression visitors have of a place when they're visiting. So why is it important to have art at the airport, and what impact does it have on the traveler experience?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, we believe that the airport serves not only as a physical gateway, but also a cultural gateway to our region. So we really directly enhance the customer, well, really the traveler experience through placemaking. We really want to create a strong overall visual identity for the airport that directly connects to San Diego's culture. So we work with local artists, nonprofits, musicians, and performers to really showcase what sets our region apart. Um, our program really also enhances wayfinding. So rather than just have this sterile, monotonous, or generic airport, we believe that by enhancing the environment, we really can also provide visual cues and landmarks throughout the airport campus. Another really important role that the arts program plays is to mitigate the stress of travel. We all know that as we're going through like security and trying to find our gates, it can really be stressful, and we can really be laser focused. But we know that even brief encounters with art can be comforting and calming. Art activates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the function of our body to rest and digest. So our art program really helps us to relax and to find a sense of peace and calm as we navigate the space. So important. Our arts program also wants to create unforgettable experiences for all. We offer numerous self-guided and interactive art activations throughout our terminals. For example, did you know that we are the only airport in the country to offer a performing arts residency program? We have welcomed dancers, circus performers, aerial acrobats, and even poets into our terminals to work on new creative works inspired by the airport, while also creating exciting and engaging opportunities for our passengers. And finally, and probably most importantly, is artistic excellence. We're so proud to be a valued community partner and regional resource, and we're recognized as a leading airport arts program. Our world-class art collection and programming is designed for everyone to enjoy, and we hope that the people of San Diego really feel a sense of pride in what we offer.
You're giving us here our next pitches. So I can see Angie and Kayla in my brain, like, oh, okay, let me write that down. So the stories we have to share, right? Not only, I mean, how everyone is engaging with art, not only the art perspective, the artists and the creators, but also how the people who engage with those arts, that might be, we might not be artists ourselves, but we are, telling those stories, and that's part of the job that you're doing. And I learned so much about the impact of art and how it can benefit traveling, and not only creating a sense of place, but also giving you a calm and navigating the travel experience, which is, as we know, can be a little chaotic. So I mean, it sounds you have, you're touching San Diego basically, and showcasing San Diego within the airport. And so how do they ensure that the art showcase really reflects the San Diego story? Do you have any guidelines? Or are there any challenges or opportunities that you have that you face in finding artists to collaborate with?
Yeah, well, of course, we strive to make sure that our art programs reflect the richness of the San Diego story. On a community level, our programs allow the airports to be good neighbors and to help support local artists and art organizations through exhibitions and programming, via partnerships, and of course, through direct funding. Our work is guided by a public master plan, which spells out the goals for our program and offers a framework for our operations. And then our program also reports to and gets advice from a board-appointed Arts Advisory Committee, which is composed of local and regional arts and culture leaders. This committee helps to guide our work and reviews our open calls and selection processes for transparency and equity. We've already touched upon it, but it's important to note that we live in a majority minority region. So in terms of challenges, we're always thinking about ways to keep our program accessible to everyone and to attract artists that represent our broad community. So just to name a few strategies, we really work hard to publicize artist opportunities in a variety of locations, and to conduct virtual information sessions, which we also post online for those who cannot attend. We ensure that our applications and informational materials around the airport are provided at a minimum in Spanish as well as English. And of course, we partner with trusted local community-based art organizations to present sessions, help with outreach, and ensure relevancy while strengthening our community relations.
So since you're, again, you're talking about diversity and you're talking about, touching into the community in different ways that you can connect with artists and also with the travelers. So in your opinion, how does investing in art at the airport not only enhances the traveler experience, but also creates opportunities for local artists and the broader arts community?
Yeah, I'm so glad we can touch on that question. There was a report that came out in 2024 called The Creative Economy in the San Diego region that was commissioned by the City of San Diego and the San Diego Regional Policy and Innovation Center. And the report really spelled out the total economic impact of the creative economy, which in 2022 was over $10.8 billion, which accounts for almost 4% of the county's gross regional product. But what's really important for us as arts administrators to take note of is that the report also showed that many creatives, particularly those in visual and performing arts, often earn less than $30,000 annually, which of course, as we know in San Diego, is not a living wage. So this really underscores the necessity for initiatives that provide sustainable opportunities for local artists. So just speaking for the airport now, as our arts program contributes to the local creative economy, of course, we do this by allocating approximately, and this varies from year to year, anywhere between $200,000 to $300,000 directly to artists in the form of, grants and commissions and salaries. And beyond this, on an equal scale, we also engage with various local arts professionals, such as art installers, printers, audio technicians, and conservators. So we further support the creative sector. We really recognize the need for sustainable arts funding opportunities. That's why this year we're really, really excited to kick off a new initiative. We are about to start a new cohort of paid local musicians who will perform at New Terminal 1 on a regular basis. And we hope that this opportunity will provide artists with consistent exposure and income. Ultimately, our investment in arts is not only to enhance the traveler experience, but really to elevate San Diego's profile as an international hub for arts, culture, and creativity.
Oh, it's fantastic. Is this signed in with I know we have a new terminal that Terminal 1 that Sunday is gonna do like a test drive. Is there a correlation with that?
Absolutely. With the opening of the new terminal, we're essentially doubling our footprint. So we have a lot more programs and we have a lot more opportunities now for artists to really showcase their work at the airport.
Congratulations. I'm pretty sure that's a lot of work. It's still ongoing, but we're very excited in San Diego to just have that a new terminal and a new experience. So I mean, that was incredible, everything that you're doing and knowing the actual impact that it can tie back to a money value, right, of the arts and culture, right? Again, it's not a nice to have. So I want to give that question to Kayla and Angie. So how can investments in the arts ensure more diverse representation and storytelling? And why is this critical for cultural tourism success? Kayla?
I just love just piggybacking off everything Tiffany said with the new airport. I think as I was listening to her, I think I love this idea that arts really fuels community pride, but also global reputation for San Diego. So the direct investment on giving our local artists and cultural institutions opportunities to be that first touch point in San Diego is just so great. I think the strong arts infrastructure not only attracts visitors, but it also enriches the lives of residents. I mean, we're fortunate to live, play, work here, and also have the opportunity to promote San Diego. But it really creates more proud ambassadors for the city. And then that translates to word of mouth advocacy and also reinforces our reputation on the global stage. So just so inspired by all the great things that you guys are doing at the airport and happy to help tell that story. I think just going back to the importance of arts and culture and promoting it and allowing it to be just it's not only promoting it, it's truly authentic to San Diego. I mean, we know the coastline and the ideal climate will always be one of the top reasons why people think of San Diego as a leisure and business travel destination. But where we can continue to stand apart is how our culture reflects the spirit of our border region, our military history, our thriving creative community. All of those stories have to be told alongside the great climate and our coastline because San Diego is rich in so many different things. And so to continue to tell that story is going to be where we attract new audiences, invite people back. I think arts and culture is also, while folks might come for the great climate and the coastline and the beaches, arts and cultural offerings help extend length of stay. And as we mentioned at the top of this call, increase visitor spending. And so those are all great things for all of us that are part of the tourism industry here in San Diego.
Yes, and all the money that is left, benefits local businesses as well, and
Absolutely.
that money goes for infrastructure as well, the city. So it's a win-win, I think, for everyone. That's definitely a good point. And Angie, so for California and maybe in a global perspective, like why is it important to invest in the arts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean you touched on diversity, and I think that that's also a key component for bringing outside visitors in from all over the world. As a state, there are artists here from every cultural background in San Diego. You're a microcosm of that, and you see that at the local level. But I think that all of that culture, it highlights that rich diversity that the state has. And that's really steeped in our identity. Like we're at the global crossroads for creativity. We're the hub and the place where new ideas are born. So I think having that inclusivity represented in that arts scene and those cultural institutions, it really appeals to visitors, especially international visitors who are looking for representation of themselves in community and when they're traveling, and it just adds to that depth of culture. I think it also just humanizes the destination. It, like you're saying, we're not just beaches, and that is so true. There's so much more to San Diego than that. It helps though. It's really nice there. But the arts really, like, they create an emotional connection with people. It makes your travel more meaningful by going back to the idea of immersion, by immersing people in what the community actually is like, and who the people are, and those real stories of real California artists, whether they're muralists in San Diego or musicians in Oakland or native indigenous weavers in Northern California. That really, how all of those experiences they bring people into like realness. It's real people. It's not just the place itself.
I'll also add on that. I think the investments in arts and culture, we also can't forget the forward-looking opportunity too. So continued investments in the arts isn't just about today's visitor, but it's also ensuring that the next generation sees San Diego or views California on a global scale as a hub of creativity and innovation. So by weaving that into our brand narrative, we're continuing to position San Diego as that dynamic, culturally rich, globally relevant destination for future generations that have not even thought about their next trip. And so just laying that foundation is so important.
Yes, and I think Tiffany mentioned, or was it Angie, that sometimes it's that social media, right? You see it and it's just like just for the picture, but it's really, and then Tiffany tied it up, it gives you that sense of calmness. It really interacts with you. There is a psychological and an emotional connection to art, right? Once you're in a destination, right? I think that the picture is there and you show it forever, but the memory is the one that sticks to you, like the feeling, right? And the art gives you that experience, and then you share it, and other people want to travel and visit that place, right? They want to you share the experience, and they want to have that experience as well. So this is a question for anyone who wants to answer, or all of you. And how can smaller cultural organizations or emerging artists, especially in diverse spaces, benefit from a larger tourism strategies? Obviously, you all touched a little bit on it, but how can they benefit and maybe make a connection and understand there's other ways, other venues to tell their art and share their stories?
I'm happy to jump in on that. I think, I mean, definitely look at your DMO, not to put Edna and Kayla on the spot for all the San Diegans watching this, but make sure that you're connected to your local destination marketing organization. If you're not in San Diego proper, there's probably somebody nearby. I know North County has a plethora of DMOs also looking for stories to tell. So I think making sure if you're representing an organization, a local organization, just continue to pitch your stories, letting your DMO know what is coming down the pipeline, what you have new going on. If you're an individual artist, even, it's worth, I think, making the connection to the local DMO so that they're aware of what you're doing and what you're creating. Because all of that does translate to stories. We're trying to tell stories on our social media channels. We're trying to tell stories to the journalists. I know I've talked a lot about that, but we need visuals. We need ideas. It's a machine that we're talking to global consumers with. So there's a pipeline of media kind of coming out of these organizations that I think a lot of people aren't totally aware of. So I would encourage people to work with their DMO, introduce yourself. If you're open to hosting a journalist or getting to know somebody or having coffee with a visitor, that's like an amazing way to get your story out too. And we're always looking for locals who can bring that authentic experience to life.
Yeah, I agree. Tiffany, I know you also want to.
Oh, I was just going to say, to piggyback on what Angie said, yeah, partnerships are so important. From the perspective of the San Arts program, we are also just reliant on local artists and cultural institutions. A great example of this is our new Snapshot San Diego exhibition, which will launch as part of the new Terminal 1 inauguration. So as over the next 2 years, as part of this rotating temporary exhibit, we're going to showcase the work of local cultural nonprofits and artists to really give travelers a glimpse at the vibrant art scene here. So we have bigger organizations such as Comic-Con Museum, but we're also working with North County's Misty Washington Gordon Basket Guild and Julian's Ilian Liel Foundation, which highlights James Hubble's work with the Peace Parks. I mean, these are authentic stories in arts and culture that most people may or may not know. So it's really a meaningful exchange for both parties. We get to highlight the incredible talent and culture of the region, and in return, artists and organizations are able to gain exposure to much broader audiences. We have nearly 25 million passengers who will pass through our terminals each year. So it's a wonderful moment that we can help each other out.
Okay.
I'll also just
I need to pop in here because we are running out of time. Kayla, last words?
Oh, I was just going to close out by just highlighting the San Diego Tourism Accelerator Program, which is a great community impact opportunity. It provides San Diego businesses an opportunity to get engaged with the local tourism community. So just thinking about our arts and culture industry, we just had the Studio Door, which is an art gallery in Hillcrest, get involved and get engaged. And tourism is such a big piece of the pie here in San Diego. So having that free membership to the San Diego Tourism Authority and learning about new opportunities that your business can have by, leveraging the impact of tourism in San Diego is a great opportunity. So that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Edna, what an incredible lineup you put together today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Edna, Kayla, Tiffany, and Angie, thank you for your insightful comments. I want to double click on a couple things that stood out for me. How the media is always interested in covering something new. I mean, you can only say your city has great beaches so many times before they're like, yes, we know. So I love that the creative community is contributing so much to building new stories that they can pitch internationally. The accessing the power of influencers is also very cool. I also love that you mentioned how the arts support auxiliary businesses like restaurants and bars, Uber drivers, street vendors, right? So it reverberates throughout the community. I love that you mentioned that that arts activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's true. Artists are doing such important work right now. And the creative economy contributes 10.8 billion with a B in the regional economy. Wow. If you had any doubts that you were doing important work. And Edna, any last thoughts before we close out?
I just want to say thank you. I know when we originally had this conversation about this panel, I was going to be part of the panel, and then I got too excited and ended up being like, no, I'm putting together this panel. So this is my passion, and it's so important to share what we do as an organization, what we do in the tourism, what we do as a city, because we do want to tell the stories of this amazing artists and the culture and the amazing culture that we have in San Diego and California. What great spaces and the airport, right? What great voices and California talking about everyone, what they're doing, working with media, and then also putting advertising, right? Making that economic impact. So just happy to be here and thank you for this time.
Well, lovely. Thank you all so much for being here. There is no doubt that increasing cultural tourism can be a powerful economic driver for any city. And anyone here who is still struggling to convince their legislators of the importance of promoting and investing in your cultural capital, be sure to send them the recording of this session, as I'm sure they will be convinced. Thank you all so much again for being part of Mashup this year, ladies. Thank you for being part of this. And all of you, please stay tuned for our next session, the sneak preview of an exciting new initiative, San Diego Artists Count. Stay tuned.